Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. This was really more impulsive and I didn't really want to sleep on it and kind of have this wonder in which would I do it, would I not do it? So a few months ago, I lost the pregnancy. It was my second pregnancy. I have only been pregnant twice. And I guess I was just in a lot of shock. A lot of things were going on in my life. So a lot of things have dominoed in the past few weeks, and today it just kind of like I feel like I'm gonna cry. So the pregnancy was a surprise. It wasn't planned like my first pregnancy was, and I guess I'm also a little bit weepy in the fact that I was reading a few messages from you guys that were really, really heartwarming to me, thanking me for sharing the struggles of being a mom, breastfeeding, all that stuff. And I always try to be as real as you guys as possible. And I just didn't know if anybody would be interested. But then I'm also part of mom groups, and it's strange how this gets swept up a lot under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about it. People tiptoe about it. And I do feel that I'm very alone with this just because it was so early in the pregnancy. It was still in the very early stages of the first trimester. And I could tell my husband was excited, but he really didn't want to be committed because he didn't want it to have this kind of situation and be attached to a fetus. He was like that with the first pregnancy too, and he didn't really let me know until this pregnancy unexpectedly, just abruptly it just got terminated naturally. So it wasn't expected, and it could be because it's around this time that my son would have been born, and it's just harder and harder. And I'm also kind of wondering, I don't want to forget him, and I don't want it to be that he's forgotten and all that. My husband, I know he doesn't want to dwell on those kind of things because as sad as it is, a lot of guys, even a lot of women, don't really want to embrace pain. And it's been really hard the past few months. When I was enduring the miscarriage, there was a lot of self-blame and self-guilt because the day before I felt something was off, and it was due to I was working out like crazy, and I was working out my abdomen a lot. But everywhere I went online, it said it should be okay. But I didn't really research it really well, that it's really not okay to do that. So, I mean, it said that you can, but there's a chance that it could be okay, and there's also a chance that it won't be okay. And I was obviously on the not be okay category. So there was a lot of guilt, and there still is, and I don't know how I'm able to shake it off, because I don't know if anybody else is like this, but before I even knew I was pregnant with my what do they call that? Not a butterfly. There's a term for a baby or a child being born, and the after that is a miscarriage or a death of the sibling. Let me check that out real quick. So my son is a sunshine baby, because if you have a healthy born child and the next sibling is either a miscarriage in a sort of way, stillbirth, miscarriage, that kind of situation, that sibling right before that becomes a sunshine baby. So my son is a sunshine baby, and I've been thinking of ideas on how to incorporate his unborn sibling. He's only 2 right now, so I do have time, but I do wanna encourage that now, just so at a certain age he won't be so confused. I I don't I have like different things on how I want to address this. So I wasn't planning on trying to get pregnant until my baby was at least 2 years old, and that is because I wanted my body to heal completely. And my pregnancy did occur before that happened. I could say that it has been hard, especially since I didn't go to therapy. I did tell my doctor about it, and they said I should have gone to the OBGYN, which I didn't. I didn't really know. I really felt like I was dying. I was literally dying. My face was ashen. I was so cold, but I wasn't feverish, and I didn't have the flu-like symptoms. I really literally felt like I was dragging and like literally dying. Like I felt heavy and light at the same time. My feet were heavy, but I felt like I was missing something in a sense. And there's this pressure that's just from my abdomen. Like it feels like a ton of weight, literally a ton of pressure being pushed like this constantly for a while, about I think 2 days. The first day was incredibly the worst, and the second day was still really awful, but it lasted for 2 days. And I'm sorry, I don't want to, this is a trigger warning, but like the discharge was incredibly crazy. It was awful. I don't wish a miscarriage on anyone ever, because it's such a horrible experience, not just physically, but emotionally, because I don't, as I mentioned before, I don't know if anybody else is the same, but before I found out I was pregnant with my sunshine baby, I've already been able to picture kind of his face, how he kind of looked, but not on the first time you see them. You know how they're all like squashed up, because I had a natural delivery. I didn't have the C-section. So when you have a C-section baby, because they don't go through the canal, their faces aren't really mushed up. So I was able to see like his face and what kind of he looks like. I was able to see a lot of different things. However, I don't know if anybody else does that. I already knew he was going to be a boy before I knew I was pregnant. I was having some gender dreams, and then it's just, I don't know, I've always been kind of like that. I'm very in tune with my body, and with this pregnancy that was even more pronounced. Like I was able to feel the fetus so intensely that like I knew exactly what the thoughts that he was having. It was kind of similar with my sunshine baby. It was kind of similar in that sense. Like there were just things I knew instinctually, like, you know, you're connected to a different level, and I just knew, you know. And it was kind of like that, but to a totally different level. And they do say that you get better at it per pregnancy, because you already know what to look at. You already know what you're into. You already know what you're going through. So you know what to look at, and you know how to pay attention. So I was very, very connected to the fetus, regardless of that. And it's been rough. There have been times in which I don't know if anybody else does this, but I would watch something that is emotionally, I know I'm going to cry. I know it's something that will make me cry. And I feel like I'm able to mourn him, because I don't think I ever really did. I told my mother-in-law about it, and she said she was sorry, and I just like walked away, and we just both kind of like changed the topic and everything. I just didn't want to like dwell on it or anything, but it's been kind of on and off. It's not every day, you know. It's not every day that I miss him. It's every day that I do think about him. There are days that I feel awful and guilty if I don't think about him, but then every day I try not to think about him because the pain is so severe. And I plan before the month, his potential birth month is over, I plan on getting a plant that would represent his life, and I plan to have this plant for the rest of my life. If you guys know anything about that, I have been researching for months. I haven't made a decision. So if you guys have any idea what would be great, that would be really, really wonderful. I would prefer it to be a house plant, but I'm open to having a house plant and a outside plant as a perennial as well to represent that. So it's been kind of challenging, and I don't know. I don't know what it was today. It was just a lot of different things and a lot of different reminders, and I don't know if anybody else is like this, but every day when I was pregnant with him, I saw his face. Like, I saw it. And there were times that it would just pop up in different expressions. Like, my husband and I were talking about baby names, and then I was laughing about it because I said, you know, your child is gonna be very, very stubborn because he wants certain things. He wants his name to be a specific thing. So and then my husband was like, we can change that, we're the parents. And I said, I don't think so. Like, I feel like the power of that fetus was so extreme that it was it was already controlling that kind of thought. Like, I couldn't really think of anything else. So we did pick a name, majority me. We did pick a name. There were a few choices, but the first name was definitely already picked. So this is more of just awareness in a sense, and just letting other women out there and other men that when you've expected a child out of a pregnancy and it didn't really work out, and you get excited and you get happy and you get very connected, it's not very easy. Everyone is different, and from my experience, it has been one day at a time. Again, it's just every day I don't want to think about him because I feel very sad, and I feel very guilty about feeling that it was all my fault, that I didn't have to work out so crazy the day before. You know, I was just so heavy with the working out. I haven't worked out since that day. I have stopped working out since that day. I don't know. I feel like I want to work out, and then I don't know what it is. I just walk away. And I have 2 machines that I work with. I have like one of those cheap portable bikes that's really like this big only. You can move it everywhere. And I have a total gym, like a Pilates machine. And I was using the Pilates machine, and it was too much. So yeah, every day I think about him. Every day he pops in my head. And there have been times I have dreams when I'm asleep, or daydreams, that I do hear him say that it's okay and everything is okay and everything will be okay and he's fine and I shouldn't be sad anymore. But I am, though, you know, like, I feel like I would have already had or will be having a my second child, and I feel like I robbed my son and my husband that, and there's no really, it wasn't like it was an illness or some kind of problem. It was, I feel like the only thing that I really think would happen was because I was working out. So the guilt is palpable. Sometimes I can't breathe when I think about it. It's so palpable. And then I feel guilty when I don't want to think about him and I don't want to think about the whole situation. It makes me feel extremely guilty. And it's just a roller coaster of just guilt and pain. I've had some good days in which sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes he just pops into my head and I have his face and he's smiling and he's happy, and I know he's happy, and it makes me happy and it makes me smile and it uplifts me all the time. But it's not every day, and you know, it's a blessing, I guess, in disguise that I went through so many head traumas in the past, just in the past few years, that my memory is really shoddy. So I do think about him every day, but sometimes I can't remember if I do. But for whatever reason, I can always remember what he looks like. And he was just my beautiful little boy that I was never able to hold. I just wanted to share this. I'm sorry, I'm crying so much. I just wanted to share this because it's not really easy. And to any parent out there, or anyone out there who's had a loss, especially to a fetus or a child or a baby, it's just everybody's situation is slightly different and majorly different, and just because it is different doesn't make it less painful, doesn't make it less traumatic, doesn't make it less special that you had that experience. But I feel that it should be talked about more. I know it's very sad and depressing to think about, and I think it did really, really push me into being incredibly sad and borderline depressed, like clinically borderline depressed, because I never really talked about it. And I would just be sad by myself. I bring him up sometimes with my husband, and he's come around before. He would just really shake it off. He never really wanted to think about it, and I think he just kind of felt sad about it. He just doesn't want to think about it and not want to talk about it. He's never blamed me, but we were talking about him like a couple of days ago, and he was just very different about it, a little bit more, a lot less distant than what he used to be. But I would always have him with me. It's just I don't have him with me. And so I'm trying as much as I can to think of ideas on what kind of plant or what kind of representation. I prefer something like a plant, because a plant can live for a very long time. And I would really, really love something that is a house plant so I can see it every day. They said, I was just researching online a representation, and a lot of times when you know the gender, people suggest, you know, giving a bouquet of either pink or white, or a mixture of pink and white, or blue and white. I don't think it has to be blue. If I were to get a flowering plant, plus having blue house plants is kind of very rare. Um, I wouldn't mind other colors. I would like something that grows fast or is easy to care. Something that when I do look at the plant, I remember my beautiful baby that wasn't really able to have its first breath outside of the womb. So to anybody out there that has been through the way I've been through, I know exactly how you feel. And all my info is down below in the description section. I don't know, I always try to be as my personality to come out on my channel, which is always very positive and the glass half full. I just kind of felt like this was something that needed to be shared and exposed, and the topic itself, and be aware. Just because you don't really, or if you're not even able to touch or hold them, it doesn't really mean it didn't matter. I wanted to dedicate this to my son. And I always think about you all the time. And I wish I was able to do better. And I made a bad decision that I didn't think was a bad decision at the time. So this is also dedicated to all of the people out there that have been touched by this, by miscarriage or loss of a fetus or stillborn or infant death or early loss of a child, and that kind of realm. It's just every day I think, you know, I know he's not even supposed to be born right now, but every day I'm thinking what he's gonna be, what he's gonna look like when he's 2, which I'm never gonna see. But I'm thinking about that because I have my sunshine baby, and I wondered, would they look alike? Would they look different? What would their similarities be? Personality and physicality. So thank you for everyone who watched this and listened, and who's going through something like this. I completely understand what you're going through, and I just wanted you to know that you're not alone. And there's always someone out there. And one foot over the other. That's what I tell myself. And then I look at my sunshine baby and I'm just like, I don't know, you know? Like, I love them both, and I don't know. I wish it was different, but this is what it was, and it is. So, thank you so much for clicking on this video and watching it, and I hope that if anybody goes through what I'm going through or have gone through, I hope that you have the support that you do need, even if you don't know you need it, even if you don't think you need it. I think sharing helps. So, thank you, and I'll see you guys in my next video, and I promise it's gonna be happier. See you guys.